The Feet, a classic with a new update ending. Let me see if I can get through this with as much detail as possible. Me and my wife have been together for 13 years, been married for 7. We have 2 children, 12 and 3. Things haven't always been great, as with all relationships. We met through a friend and hit it off right away. Things got pretty serious early when she became pregnant. I was in college, so I man up and went to work, got us a place to support her, and the rest is history. Let me also add that she comes from a very unstable background, as opposed to me, who always had the stable family growing up. Fast forward to late November 2014. She and her friends went out for some drinks. A few days later I noticed some changes in her. It's hard to describe it, but when you've been with someone for so long you know something is up. Her interests changed for one, like the type of music she listened to. I didn't pay much attention at first, but it gradually got worse. She started distancing herself more and more and would make spontaneous trips to the store or wherever for an hour or so. One night a couple weeks later, we had a small spat and she said she was leaving for a while. We've always had those, but never has she had the urge to leave. Well, she didn't come back till the next morning. When she came home the next day, she said that she wanted to separate for a while, which totally blew my mind. How can this woman who was so in love with me want a separation? She claimed that she had been unhappy for the past 2 years and needed some time to think. I had gone on to work and started doing some investigating. I went on our cell phone website and saw texts and calls to a certain number I wasn't familiar with. I called it and got the voicemail of a guy. I cross-referenced it with her Facebook and come to find out this guy's interests were right there with her new interests. I completely lost it at work and had to go home. Later on, that day, when she was getting ready to go out, again, I confronted her and asked her who this guy was. She said he was just an old friend. I asked her if anything was going on and she denied it, saying that she always found him attractive, but that was it. This behavior went on for a while, and a week before Christmas is when it all hit the fan. We had gone over to her family's place for a dinner. She was completely isolated the whole time, walking out and using her phone outside, and spending time away from her family. When we got home, she said she needed to go run an errand for a friend, and I said that was fine. Well, 3 in the morning rolled around. I called and she answered half asleep, and I heard a guy in the background. That's when I caught her. She immediately came home, and after an hour or so of trying to get her to come clean, she did and confessed that she had been sleeping with him, and it had started the night she left mad. She pleaded with me not to leave, but I did for a while. I immediately told my parents. When I came back home, I told her she needs to tell this guy it's over with them. She agreed, and being the naive idiot I am, I let her leave and tell him over the phone. Needless to say, it was not done. Christmas Day had arrived, and with her family over for dinner, she continued to isolate herself from the family and stay on her phone. I had tried to hold everything in for so long, but I finally lost it and grabbed her phone and threw it down. We got into a big argument on Christmas, and I told her entire family there that she had been sleeping around on me. I'm not going to go into more details after this episode, but a lot of things have been going on the past few months. At first, she was ready to end it, but I stepped up and started being the husband I had failed to be for the past year or so. No, I was not cheating on her or anything, just failed to show her that attention she was needing. Not a justification for cheating though. Since then, she has been torn because she said she has those feelings for me again but continues to see this guy. We are currently going to counseling. She thinks things are getting better, but I have worn myself out over all this. I've lost 20 pounds the past few months and have worried myself sick over the situation. The therapist tells her she needs to leave this guy because he is unstable too, which is why the attraction. He is an alcoholic and jumps from place to place. And her actions now are so blatant. She texts him and calls him in our home as if it's normal now. I would be happy to provide more details if needed. I just don't know if all this I'm going through is worth it anymore. I do love her still, of course. Let me also add that our finances have taken a hit. Since she is seeing this guy, she has been spending money on him. He has no money. She shows signs of being done with him, because she has always had me to take care of her, but now she feels like she has to take care of him. The question is, when she is finally done with him, will it be too late? This is all new to me. Well, I guess that's the obvious. What should be my first action? I mean, I am going to pull the plug. Never mind the fact she left me high and dry on Valentine's night. Well, at this point, I'm jaded, weakened, and weary. Any further energy spent will not be on saving this marriage. I've let this go on for 3 months. I've been spit on, this marriage has been spitting on, the children have been spat on, and my work ethic has been spat on. What I need to know now is, even though the affair is so blatant and put right in front of me, what kind of concrete evidence will I need? I don't have much, and I'm afraid if I throw out my desire for a divorce now, what if she ends it with this guy? I just want to make sure I make the right moves in the right order. Does this make sense? Both families already know about it, but they thought we were working on things. So, you say I should tell them that she continues to see him and we are done. Comment: she's a cake eater. She gets to have a boyfriend and a husband who financially supports her. What kind of husband would put up with that? You need to look in the mirror and ask if you're proud of yourself. Don't you respect yourself? If you don't, who will? No woman wants a weak man. You are failing as a father because money to feed them is going to her boyfriend. Separate finances. See a lawyer. Tell her to decide now. Do this today. No more of this pathetic crap. OP responds, I don't even think a decision is in the cards now. I'm pretty much done. Wow, I feel like crap now. Thanks guys and gals. I deserve more. I just cannot fathom someone that has worked as hard as I have could be treated so poorly. It's just not in my DNA. I guess that's why I've let it go on for so long. He's just a drunk guy that was living in his friend's storage building in the back. Let me clarify that we do not have joint accounts. She asked me for some money a few weeks ago and I gave it to her. So, let me throw something else in the mix. After I found out about the affair, I went through a period of mixed emotions. One of those emotions is going out and trying to force myself into forgetting about her. I shouldn't have done it, but I went over to an old friend's house, a girl, and we kissed. She found out about it, but this was back in January. I don't even contact this said girl anymore. Wow, I just broke down. How can she do this to me after all I did? Do these outbursts go away over time? An update, here you go. She set her homeless boyfriend up with a place to stay last night, because he has nowhere else to go, but I'm not supposed to know that, but I do. Using her money, the money she is supposed to use to buy groceries. I knew the inevitable was going to happen last night. She wanted to start an argument last night about anything, because I was giving her no response to anything. She kept asking me, do you want me to leave? I said, do whatever you want, I know you want to. Well, after this went back and forth for a while, she said she was leaving. I told her if she left it was over. She hesitated for a while trying to talk to me, but eventually left. So, I guess it's officially over now. I'm not making any moves until I speak to an attorney. Just had a phone conversation with her. She took the day off of work and is out grocery shopping. So, I had to bite my tongue to keep from lashing out at her about this guy using her as an ATM to have a place to stay. She carries on the conversations as if she doesn't think I will make a move. Maybe it's time to prove her wrong. She can pawn her wedding rings. I'm not sure how many of you on here are the religious types, but I am. It's funny, my mother was telling me she prayed about the situation last night and then she found out my wife left for the night. I can recall praying about it several times and my wife doing something stupid. Hey, maybe this was meant to happen. I take that back, it was meant to happen. It's nights like these when I remember why I'm here. Wife says working late till 6:30 because she missed time on Monday. Never done that before in the 10 years she's worked at her job. Bill by there, car not there. Just installed my keylogger on my computer. Will fulfill her request to have some old pictures scanned for her to Facebook. Get password and get evidence. Going to get a VAR tomorrow. Afterwards, going to my parents to lay out the game plan. Talking to my parents' neighbor who was in a similar situation for advice. Contacting lawyers next week and going for blood and everything else I deserve. Playing the pathetic husband game right now so she thinks she can walk all over me once again. But this time, it's a game. Hung all the pictures of me and her back up in the house. All is well, she thinks. When this is over, I will make sure she suffers for every minute she made me suffer and sleepless and close to a mental and emotional breakdown. Every minute she walked out on me and the kids for a homeless piece of crap alcoholic. I just cannot let my emotions take over. The OM has no car, no job, no home, nowhere to set his feet at night other than on friends' couches. The OM had about 100,000 left to him, so my STBX says, in an inheritance, and he blew it in about a year. So that tells me in addition to being an alcoholic, he's not very good with money. Wow, this stuff still shocks me. Anyways, we plan to go out tomorrow night because she wants to talk. She only said this after she felt the heat of the big D coming. We shall see. Just so you all know, I'm not giving in. I've had my moments the past week or so, but they've been few and far between. Even if she was to want to I'm still dropping the hammer on her. I'm just playing my hand close to my chest. An update, and it's not the type of update I'm sure all of you want to hear. So, I'm still with her, and I was ready to make a move once I had all the evidence that I could file for custody on grounds of adultery. Unfortunately, I was unable to get that evidence. Now, the guy is gone. Not gone, but gone to rehab, and will be there for a while. Not sure how long. But my wife tells me this because she was the one that encouraged him to go. And now she tells me that she wanted this to happen so things can get back to normal. Maybe for her, but what about me? How can I trust her in what she tells me? In her mind, things may get back to normal for her, but I've got triggers galore and I'm not quite ready to say I'll forgive her. I've given it this long. I may go ahead and file for divorce. I can take the heat. I know I'm being a doormat. I've always took pride in being a husband, a provider for my family. So much work has been put in these past 13 years into what we have, or should I say now, had. I just cannot fathom how someone could be so cold and callous into wanting to throw it all away. But I guess that's why it never crossed my mind to cheat. I never thought she would either. I've spoken with numerous lawyers the past few weeks, but now is the time to make the move. I don't have the evidence, but at this point why does it matter? And yes, my self-esteem has been destroyed. It has been chipped away at for a while now, and now I'm feeling the effects. Guess who checked themselves out of rehab? A detox for a few days and he's cured. I noticed several calls to a pregnancy center in the past few days from her phone. Now before you blow this up, we had talked recently in depth about her being unhappy, and the last time she was truly happy was when we had our second child. We did fertility treatments in order for her to get pregnant. I can tell you now that marriage, birth, or anything only brings temporary joy. She has some deep down emotional issues and is not a happy person, so before you say anything, it's not happening. They just do fertility and other related treatments. I fear the future. I won't lie. I'm the type that doesn't like drastic change, even at the expense of hurting myself in the process. I was just hoping the fog would lift in time to keep her from losing what she has worked so hard to achieve. She came from a broken home background, as opposed to me. I think she has drifted back into that familiarity against my desire. I have to look out for my children and me now. I have an appointment with an attorney on Friday. That's all I can really say right now. I had a witness go with me to the motel last Friday, and we got video of them going into the motel. I wanted to make sure I had good evidence before meeting face to face. The only thing that kept me from beating that guy down into the floor was my children. I've had to keep my nose clean during all this. If it wasn't for the children, he'd been in bad shape. I want to say R is out of the question considering everything I've been through, but I'll cross that bridge when I get there. Right now, one step at a time. Thanks for the advice. To be honest, it's very difficult to post here sometimes considering the backlash you receive if you fail to make the appropriate moves. I guess we've all been there. Are you kidding me? Guys, I'm about to go postal. Just found out that my 3-year-old daughter has met this piece of crap. So, I had a talk with my wife last night, in a calm manner, as difficult as that was, and told her my intentions. So, her comeback was, what if I break it off with him? Can we still be together? I blew up and said, this whole time you were saying how difficult it was going to be to let him go, even after all the crap you put me through and I had to endure. Now that I'm making a move, you're going to end it with him that easy. Screw that. I said once I put money in the lawyer's hands there's no going back. That's why I was so reluctant for so long. I know how this whole thing will play out. And I do expect her to come crawling back. This guy has it made. He doesn't have anything, and he doesn't have to pay for anything, and he gets it still. Once her support system is gone, she is going to expect him to step up. Then he will hit the bricks. I could have sworn I heard a conversation one time about this piece of crap saying she should stay with her family, just as long as he gets to see her too. Lawyer paid and papers being prepared. Guess who got pregnant? He's actually working now. Good for him. He'll never be able to live up to my standards though. He has to live in my shadow through her, and more importantly, her family. I love her family, and her family loves me. That's why I say that. It's sad. She's a shell of what she was. Her family knows where she came from and how far I brought her. Unconditional love only goes so far. A man can only take so much being used, abused, manipulated, yelled at, taken advantage of. The only problem is, the man takes it for so long he becomes numb to it and thinks he somehow deserved it, so he hides it behind a fake smile. Talk about a classy gesture. Found a love letter from him to her written on the back of a detox center pamphlet. You can't make this stuff up. It's really an amazing feeling when you look back and say, man, I went through some tough times, but I'm glad I did. I can survive anything. I have my moments when reminders pop up from nowhere, but they're becoming fewer and more far between. Things are going good for me. Still a lot of adjusting, but given what I went through the 6 months of the affair, which is still going on, they're living together now, I have coped quite nicely. So, I received a phone call from her this week, and normally it's about the children, but she got to talking about us. And as the conversation went on, she threw something out there that I had never heard before. She was talking about how she wished I had been more forceful on her about ending the affair. I was blown away. So, you mean to tell me that confronting the guy at a bar and provoking him into a fight was not forceful? She said she also wished that I had blocked his number from calling her and vice versa. Yeah, did that to a couple months ago, then she went out and got both her and him new phones. It must suck for that guy to know that the only reason she's with him is because I finally stepped up and refused to be a doormat and take her back. About 2 months later, well, we go to our temporary hearing on August 13th, but I must say while things were going good for me, the triggers have hit me hard the past week or so. Adding to that, is that me and her are getting along so well now. Slipped up a couple weeks ago, our son was going on a trip for 2 weeks, so we both wanted to spend time with him as a family and we watched a movie together. We ended up sleeping together. Maybe that's why the triggers remanifested themselves. Or maybe because of the texts about her wanting to come back home. Or maybe the excitement of having the place to myself has worn off. Now I'm seeing memories at every turn and smelling her presence in the house. I have to remember why I'm getting this divorce in the first place. The cheating, the emotional abuse. The only upside is the awesome bonding. Now, here is what else worries me. I have this fear that with her volatile behavior and outburst, I have this fear that she will somehow change her ways and become this awesome woman. Sounds crazy, but I'd hate to think that could have been someone that I could be with. I loved her so much, and still do. And as someone asked, yeah, she does feel remorse. She has cried to me saying how sorry she was for everything. She'd wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares about everything. She has said how much she appreciated all that I did for her now that she has to do all those things, tidy up, pay bills. The fact of the matter is, and I know this, that I don't necessarily want her back, but I'm just holding on to the memories. And the one thing I need to realize is I'm only thinking of the good memories, not the painful ones, probably because I'm trying to suppress them. So, we had a long talk yesterday over the phone, and she asked me if I would ever want her to come back. I didn't give her an absolutely not, but I couldn't bring myself to say yes either. I'm getting there. The court will order a paternity test once the baby is born, but she is saying that he is the father. If they are still seeing each other, I don't know. At this point, I don't care. She's been moved out about a month now, and every now and then I do miss her being there. That will pass in time. I don't believe in abortion, so that wasn't an option. Adoption was. She is due in December. The attorney thinks the judge won't allow the divorce to be final until after the baby is born. Don't know about him. Don't care. 4 years later, I was getting angry about how sad and pathetic this guy was. How could anyone look at themselves in the mirror and consider themselves to be a man when they are treated like an option, a second choice, a fallback, a doormat, and every other name? The reason why this angers me so much is because this was me. I wanted to log on as my old username, but I couldn't find the password, so I did some searching and found the original post. Almost 4 years have passed since the only life that I knew, a life of turmoil, fighting, disloyalty, and abusiveness, came to its closing moments. It didn't necessarily come to an end, because the person that she broke still went on a broken person, carrying this heavy baggage into a new relationship. I don't really want to go into details about it, but what I carried into a new relationship from this one almost destroyed it. But it was only through patience that this new woman in my life took this broken person and built him back up, stronger than ever. She pieced together a man that had been shattered from 15 years of mental and physical abuse. I never knew what love was until I gave it a chance. What I thought was love was a skewed vision of reality because it was all I knew. I don't want to go into every detail of the past 4 years, but I will say this. After a little over 3 years in this new relationship, we married in February. I have my 2 children, who are now 16 and 7, along with her 2 children, who I love dearly, that are 15 and 7. As for my ex-wife, she passed away 2 years ago due to X. We are doing good. When she committed X, she had actually been out of their lives for over a year. I was given full custody of the children in 2016. She saw them a few times within that year. I know my oldest had a rough time for a while, but I probably need to have him see a counselor. He stays to himself a lot as far as his feelings go, so talking to a stranger may be beneficial. The youngest vaguely recalls anything. She calls her stepmother mommy, which she has been. She has been her mommy while her biological mom went off the deep end. Believe it or not, me and him are actually cool with each other now. It's a situation of he found out that I wasn't a bad guy like she made me out to be, and he wasn't that bad a guy she made him out to be. He has his issues, but for the most part, he's doing okay now. Simply put, it was her manipulating us both to make us hate each other. She thrived on it. They ended up getting married in 2016, I believe, but separated not too long afterward in 2017. They were separated when she committed X. I don't have any ill feeling towards him. He saved my life. Oh, and the child, she is doing well. She is with his mom right now. I don't mean to sound like I'm arrogant, but I believe the turning point in her life was when she knew for certain that I was done with her. And I don't even mean the divorce. I'm talking after that. After we divorced, a lot of crap went on between me and her that threatened my current relationship. She totally lived rent-free in my head, I will not deny that. She would still come over to the house to see the children after they were placed in my custody. Long story short, it came down to my current wife giving me the ultimatum that it was either she or my ex. That was when my balls dropped and I told her to get the hell off of my property and never come back. After that, it was pretty much further downhill for her. She lost her job not too long after that, lost the house that her and her husband got, moved into a motel, got addicted to X or any meds she could get her hands on, and put behind bars several times. She eventually moved in with her mom in her final months. The last time I saw her was not too long before she passed away. Me and my wife, girlfriend at the time, stopped at a convenience store and I ran in to get something. She was in there at the counter and she was totally strung out, to the point she still had the tourniquet around her arm. She saw me come in and before she left, she said something to me about the kids, which I totally dismissed. And that was it. Her child by OM, who she married, lives with OM's mother. My comment, sometimes you can't save everyone. A short story too. I have been married for more than 6 years now and I am wondering now if my husband ever really loved me. We've been having problems in our marriage for a while now. I have always thought that we could work things out no matter what. But now I am feeling that maybe it's all hopeless. The problem is that we do not ever spend quality time as husband and wife. He feels that because he is the provider that when he gets home from work that he should not be expected to do anything. As far as weekend goes, he feels that he should be left alone the entire weekend and just do whatever he wants, since he is the one who makes the money. I'm not the kind of wife that expects her husband to do household chores when he gets off of work. I am a good wife. I always do things to make things easier for him since he goes out and works. That is my way of showing him that I love him and appreciate what he is doing for us as a family. His routine when he gets off work is walk in and have a seat for a while, asks if I'm okay. I say yes, he says that's good. Watches TV for an hour, get undressed and flops on the couch and slaps out his cell phone and says nothing more to me. I try and talk to him. He will not give his undivided attention but says to go ahead and say what I want to say because he's listening while he looks at whatever he is doing on cell phone. I ask what he is doing on cell phone that he can't put it down to have a conversation with me. He says just reading news and sports. But this goes on until it's time to go to bed. Next day comes same thing again. This has been going on for at least 5 years. Once I have found that he was texting another woman and that he takes photos of himself naked. He had a photo of a naked woman in his phone. I asked him why he had that. He said that his friend sent him and that he forgot to get rid of it. I have always helped him in every way that I can and have always been loyal and faithful, but it hurts me that he feels that it is BS to have conversations every day with each other. He says that married people do not do that every day. They each do whatever they want by themselves. He never makes me feel special, forgets anniversary, thinks of others on their birthdays, but forgets mine. We argue a lot and I feel so angry that now I am just yelling at him. I don't know what else to do about this. I always feel very lost, lonely and alone. When I cry, he just ignores me and says why the hell I am crying and that I need to get over myself. He says we'll go to marriage counseling, but we never do. He makes me feel unwanted, unloved, worthless, disrespected, unimportant, sometimes feel like I am a less than a human being. I feel like maybe it's me. He says that his biggest problem is me. That really hurts to hear that. I have no friends and the reason is that I did have a friend, but he always wanted us to be around her and he would make fun of me in front of her so that she could laugh at the jokes he makes of me. He has even told me that she is someone that he can see himself drinking beers with and having a good time talking with her. I have always wanted to spend quality time with him and that hurt me when he told me he'd like to shoot the breeze with her. He even has told me that I should know that just because I am his wife it doesn't mean that he doesn't like and admire other women, because he does. This was about 2 years ago that I found out about him texting another woman in a picture. I did talk to the woman when I noticed in my billing that there was a specific number that was always texting to the phone he uses. But he still does stay on the cell phone for long periods of time. Or he will take me somewhere for an hour or two. I feel that is spending time together and that it should be enough, but even when he does take me out it really does not feel like we spent quality time. Then when we get home he is on the cell phone until it's time for bed. He claims that he doesn't go on his phone that much, but he does. He does have a passcode on the phone that he uses which I provide for him to use. He keeps it locked at all times so there is no way that I can get into even if he wasn't around. One time I decided that I was going to see what he was doing on his phone and so I was taking it and he shoved me so hard that I fell down and hurt myself. I just could not believe that he did that to me. Also, does anyone think that it is fair for me to tell him that as long as there is internet on the cell phone that it would always cause problem and that it would be best to turn that feature off permanently? Or would I be asking too much? I ask because I know that if I tell him that is what I want to do, he'll say that he is a grown man and that if he wants internet on the cell that he has a right to have it. I just feel that if I had to choose between my marriage and a cell phone that I would give up the cell phone to save my marriage. I just feel totally sick over all this. I am looking into the divorce laws in the state I'm in. He thinks that because he does not hit me that he is not abusing me, but he is abusing me mentally and emotionally. He doesn't hit me, but there are 2 other instances where we got into an argument and he kicked me. My 18-year-old son heard me yell and got mad at my husband. My husband called him to fight. From his kick I was bruised up, but he said that he didn't mean to do that. Then there was another time where we were arguing again and because I wanted to tell him something, he kind of hit me in my neck area and for a few seconds I lost my breath. He said that too was an accident. A week later, I have been going through so much crap for the past 8 years and finally today I decided to just leave him. I am so tired of his abuse emotionally and mentally. Boy, I am seeing him for who he really is. He is calling me evil and all kinds of other things. It used to bother me that he would do this to me in the past, but right now I don't care. I will be leaving in the morning with all my things in my car. Oh, he called me evil because I am taking my car with me. I owned the darn thing before we ever got married. Just wanted to vent a little. I am shaking as I am typing this. He even had the nerve to tell me that if I want to stay that I need to change. Hell, I don't plan to stay. I am going to see a lawyer and see what my rights are, but either way it doesn't even matter whether I get it or not. I just want to let go and take care of myself. My comment, congrats Opus. One day, in the near future, you will look back at this and laugh at yourself for putting up with this BS for so long. I guarantee it. Give it 6 months to a year. Tell me what you think about these two, and do you think both the OP did the right thing?